Sarah Knight, Calm the Fuck Down. How to Stop Freaking Out and Get On with Your Life. Why do some people breeze through life's chaos while you're busy freaking the fuck out? Let's be real. We all feel anxious sometimes. You don't need a diagnosis or a therapist note to get overwhelmed by everyday stress. Whether it's a last-minute work crisis, a rocky relationship moment, or just the nonstop juggle of life piling up. Worry, sadness, anger, they're all part of the human package. But here's the good news. While you can't stop these emotions from showing up, you can get a whole lot better at handling them. At the heart of staying calm is a simple skill. Knowing what you can control and, maybe more importantly, what you can't. Once you figure that out, you stop wasting precious time and energy on things that don't deserve it and start focusing on actions that actually help. Instead of feeling helpless when chaos hits, you can stay grounded, clear-headed, and ready to deal, even when life seems to be sending you curveballs left and right. In this blink, you'll learn practical strategies for managing emotional storms, how to spot and acknowledge the real roots of your stress, how to accept what's beyond your control, and finally, how to tackle the things you can change by managing your physical and emotional reserves wisely. With the right tools and mindset, you'll discover you're stronger, calmer, and infinitely more capable of handling whatever is barreling down the pike. One quick note before we begin. As you might have guessed from the title, this blink contains some strong language. So if you're sensitive to curse words or listening with a child, you may want to keep that in mind. With that said, let's dive in. When life gives you lemons. Life has an uncanny way of throwing lemons, and when it does, our instinct is often to freak the fuck out. But here's the funny thing. Freaking out doesn't always look the same. People process setbacks differently. Heck, even the same person can respond differently on any given day. Before we get to the nitty-gritty of dealing with the stress or shitstorm we're currently experiencing, it can help to familiarize ourselves with the faces freakouts commonly wear so we can better handle the steps that follow. Fortunately for us, freakouts usually come wearing one of only 4 faces. First, there's anxiety, that buzzing, restless voice in your head spinning out endless what-ifs like a runaway carousel. When anxiety has you tangled up, an effective way of running a quick detangle is to focus on something else. Anything else. Perhaps today's the day you discover what a wide array of sock choices your colleagues sport. Then there's sadness, the heavy, draining weight that makes everything feel harder. The short-term solution here isn't complicated. Just try a spot of self-care. Treat yourself the way you'd treat a close friend who's feeling low. That might mean a nap, a little chocolate, a long bath, or replaying a YouTube video that makes you guffaw. You do you. The third possible face a freakout can wear is anger, the fiery rush that can blow small problems into big ones in no time. When you feel yourself heating up, why not take a hot minute to imagine where future you winds up after acting on their Hulk-like rage? The image of their broken wrist or instant unemployment can often be enough to cool your jets. Finally, freakouts can manifest through avoidance, the sneaky urge to pretend the problem isn't there, hoping it will magically disappear. But we all know deep down that ignoring things only makes them worse. The antidote? Make one tiny move. Reply to that text, book that appointment, or simply get showered and dressed for the day ahead. No, none of these actions alone are sufficient to deal with the stress or shitstorm life has delivered you today. Don't worry, we'll be rolling up our sleeves in the following sections. But awareness of the different ways your freakout may be manifesting can be empowering. And a Band-Aid fix is sometimes what the doctor calls for. With a little self-awareness and a few smart strategies, you can keep your cool, regain your balance, and maybe even turn those lemons life keeps handing you into a surprisingly refreshing beverage. You'll likely need the sugar hit. Step 1. Acknowledge. So, the volume on that ambient anxiety has turned itself up a notch and a bunch of other emotions have invited themselves to the party before you've had a chance to approve the guest list. Breathe. It's okay. Calm the fuck down. Your emotions aren't necessarily the enemy here. The real trouble only kicks off when you let those emotions run wild and take over, leaving you frozen at the front door instead of dealing with the reality in front of you. The first move to make in moments like this is to step back and figure out what's really going on. Anxiety doesn't just appear out of thin air. there's usually a what if lurking underneath, quietly fueling the panic. Maybe you're anxious about losing your job. Maybe it's a health scare. Or maybe you're dreading a difficult conversation with your intimidating mother-in-law. Once you name the root cause, you immediately take a bit of power back, and the problem begins to feel a little more manageable. From there, it's time to ask the big sanity-saving question, can I control this? This simple check can help you sort out what's worth your attention and what's just burning up precious mental energy. If you can control it, great. Now you know where to focus. If you can't, that's important too. You can start to work on letting go rather than wasting physical and emotional resources worrying about something you simply can't affect. Before jumping into action mode, though, you may need to give your emotions some space. Feeling upset, worried, or even angry is perfectly human. The key is not letting those feelings hijack your ability to act. Think of your emotions like a litter of hyperactive puppies. Sometimes they just need to run themselves ragged for a minute. Giving yourself a brief window to feel what you're feeling can make it easier to gently rein things in and move forward with a clearer head. And remember, none of us handles every crisis the same way every time. One day, we might be as cool as a cucumber. The next, we're curled up on the couch, sobbing into a bucket of popcorn chicken. That's normal. What matters is learning how to bring ourselves back when we inevitably drift off course. Shitstorms will happen, but you don't have to spiral endlessly. By isolating the real issue, giving your emotions a fair go, and focusing on what you can actually control, you set yourself up to handle the next steps with a little more calm, clarity, and confidence. And potentially, you'll have some leftover popcorn chicken for tomorrow's lunch. Step 2. Accept. You've now acknowledged the root cause of your anxiety and the extent of your authority over it. You've also acknowledged the feelings you may be feeling and let them romp around for a moment. Well done! Unfortunately, though, your task doesn't stop there. This prep work, though essential, doesn't necessarily prevent bona fide shitstorms from making landfall. Unlike hurricanes, which come neatly measured as a Category 1 to 5 scale, life shitstorms don't arrive with warning labels. To further complicate matters, their intensity isn't about wind speeds, but about how we'll experience them, which, as we've discussed, can differ from person to person and day to day. So if you feel anxiety gathering in the atmosphere, it can be smart to quickly double-check its probability of forming something formidable. Think of it as using a personal probometer, ranking possible threats from highly unlikely to inevitable. Running this mental check can be a true game changer. If something feels like a Category 1 or 2, possible but not highly likely, it's probably not worth your time or energy. Allow yourself to let those concerns go to the best of your ability. If it's Category 3 or 4, your continued preparations are warranted. We're talking preparations, though, not panic. Finally, if you've got full-blown Category 5, meaning it's definitely on the way, that's when you'll need to brace yourself both physically and emotionally. Once you've figured out the likelihood, the next key step is asking, when might this hit? Some storms are outlying. They're too far off to worry about right now. Others are imminent, meaning you can see them on the near horizon, and while you might not be able to stop them, you can at least soften the blow. And then there are the total shitstorms, the ones already wreaking havoc on your life, which demand immediate attention and clear-headed response. This is where we circle back to the magic question, can I control this? If the answer is yes, channel your resources toward meaningful action. If the answer is no, conservation of those same resources is in order. You may need them later down the line, and even if not, throwing your time and money into the wind won't do anyone any favors. Storms will come. Hopefully, you've come to at least acknowledge and accept that. And by acknowledging and accepting what's beyond your reach and concentrating on what's truly within your control, you strengthen your resilience. Sometimes that's just enough to enable you to deal with life's blows without them tearing you apart. Step 3. Address. If you're still with us, congratulations! Here's where everything comes together. The tactical, practical, boots-on-the-ground action time. When a shitstorm hits, it's immensely tempting to get stuck asking, why did this happen? Or who's to blame? But the truth is, the why often doesn't matter. Shit just happens. What matters is what you do next. The blame game only drains the time and energy you need to handle the hot mess on your doorstep. To address said hot mess effectively, you'll want to follow 3 key steps. First, take stock. Pause, breathe, and assess what's really going on. What's the actual situation, not the version swirling around in your head? Is that dark coil in front of you a snake, or just the garden hose your kid left unspooled? Let's not make a temple out of a tent unnecessarily. Next, define your realistic ideal outcome, or RIO. This isn't about imagining a perfect fix, but being brutally honest. What's actually achievable here? What outcome do you want? And what's simply out of your control? Getting clear on your RIO keeps you grounded and helps ensure your actions are purposeful, not pointless. Then comes triage, figuring out what needs your attention now and what can wait. Not every issue deserves an immediate emergency response. Some things can be addressed later without making the situation worse. By prioritizing wisely, you avoid burning through your energy on low-impact problems. For instance, your dinner plans should probably take a back seat if your wife's water just broke. Cab to the hospital first, then be content to settle for food delivery in the hospital waiting room once your spouse is in safe hands. It can also help to think of your time, energy, money, and social goodwill as your freak-out funds. Every crisis draws from these reserves, and they're limited. Spending them all on things you can't change isn't just exhausting, it's wasteful. Sometimes the smartest move is to conserve those precious funds for moments where your effort will truly count. Like any valuable skill, learning to manage your freak-out funds takes practice. But the more you strengthen this ability, the more confident and capable you become when life inevitably shakes things up. You don't need to have all the answers or fix everything instantly straight out of the gate. The win here is making more intentional choices about where you invest your freak-out funds so that, come everyday stress or unequivocal shitstorm, you can at least navigate your way through it on your terms. In this blink to Calm the Fuck Down by Sarah Knight, you've learned that you can't control everything, but you can control how you respond to anything. Life will always throw unexpected challenges, setbacks, and frustrations your way. That's just how this wild ride works. But instead of spinning out or wasting precious energy on things you can't change, you have the power to pause, take a breath, and focus on what's actually in your hands. When you learn to separate real, actionable problems from endless what-ifs, you free up your freak-out funds for the things that truly matter. Staying calm isn't about wiping out stress altogether. It's about meeting life's inevitable chaos with clarity, humor, and resilience. And the best part? With a little practice, you'll find that even when the storm rolls in, you're not just surviving, you're growing more and more capable along the way. Okay, and that is it for this blink. We really hope you enjoyed it.